What if I told you that some of the most powerful learning tools for your child aren't apps, flashcards, or expensive programs, but things you're probably already doing every single day without realizing their impact?
For the next 30 seconds, I want you to forget everything you've been told about teaching your child, because real learning doesn't start at a desk. It starts in ordinary moments, in conversations, routines, play, and shared experiences. And when those moments are used intentionally, they can dramatically boost your child's memory, attention, language, problem-solving, and confidence over time. Many parents worry they're not doing enough, not reading enough, not teaching enough, not preparing their child enough. But neuroscience tells us something reassuring. Children learn best when learning feels safe, connected, and meaningful. And that happens most naturally in everyday life. Today, we're talking about 5 everyday activities that boost your child's learning power. These activities don't feel like schoolwork. They don't require special materials, and they work for toddlers, preschoolers, and elementary-age children alike. The magic is not in how complicated they are, but in how consistently they're woven into daily life. The first activity is something you already do, but with a small shift that makes a huge difference. Talking through daily life, not just giving instructions. We all talk to our kids, but often our language is functional and directive. Put your shoes on, eat your breakfast, hurry up. When language is only instructional, the brain receives commands, but it doesn't get invited into thinking. When you narrate what's happening instead, the brain lights up. For example, instead of saying, "Put your shoes on," you might say, "We're putting on our shoes because we're about to go outside and the ground might be cold." Instead of handing them an apple, you might say, "This apple is crunchy and sweet. What does it taste like to you?" When you pour water, you can say, "I'm pouring slowly so it doesn't spill." This kind of narration builds vocabulary, strengthens comprehension, and teaches cause and effect. It helps children understand how the world works, not just what to do in it. And here's the most important part.
Pause and let them respond. Even if their answer is short, unclear, or completely imaginative, their brain is practicing language and reasoning. You're not quizzing them, you're inviting them into a conversation. Over time, these small exchanges compound. Children who experience rich, responsive language in daily life develop stronger communication skills and greater confidence expressing their thoughts. Learning starts to feel natural, not pressured. Before we go any further, if this already feels helpful, take a second to like this video and leave a comment telling me how old your child is. And if you want deeper tools, practical scripts, and early access to upcoming content, this channel also has a membership with 2 levels that unlock exclusive and preview materials for parents who want to go beyond surface advice.
Make sure you're subscribed to the Parenting Blueprint so you don't miss what's coming next. The second everyday activity that powerfully boosts learning is reading together, even if it's just 10 minutes a day. Reading together is one of the strongest predictors of future learning success, and it doesn't require long sessions or perfect focus. What matters most is consistency and interaction. When you read with your child, you're strengthening memory, imagination, language processing, and early reading and writing skills all at once. But many parents miss a key detail. Reading is not about racing through the book. It's about engaging with it. When you pause to ask, "What do you think will happen next?" or let your child point to pictures, describe what they see, or connect the story to their own experiences, reading becomes active thinking, not passive listening. And yes, reading the same book over and over again is actually beneficial. Repetition helps children recognize patterns, remember details, and feel confident. Familiarity strengthens learning pathways in the brain. These moments may seem small, but they are quietly shaping how your child thinks, communicates, and learns. And we're just getting started. The third everyday activity that quietly boosts your child's learning power is letting them help with real, everyday tasks.
Things like folding laundry, cooking dinner, setting the table, sorting groceries, or tidying up may feel like chores to us, but to a child, they are rich learning environments. When children participate in daily tasks, their brain is doing far more than following instructions. It is organizing sequences, predicting outcomes, and building confidence through contribution. When a child helps, they practice following steps in order. First, we rinse the vegetables, then we cut them, then we cook them. This strengthens working memory and attention. They also practice early math skills without realizing it. Counting socks, grouping items, comparing sizes, noticing patterns. Even fine motor skills are engaged when they pour, stir, match, or stack. These are the same foundational skills used later in reading, writing, and problem solving. Yes, it takes longer. Yes, it can be messy. But what's happening in their brain during these moments is incredibly valuable. Children learn best when they feel capable and needed. Helping sends a powerful message to the brain. I matter here. That sense of contribution builds motivation and self-esteem. Children who regularly help with real tasks often develop stronger independence and persistence because their brain has learned that effort leads to meaningful results. The fourth activity is one many parents underestimate or even worry about: unstructured play. Free play without screens, instructions, or adult-designed outcomes is one of the most powerful learning tools available to a child. When children play freely, they make decisions, solve problems, manage emotions, and test ideas. Their brain is leading the experience instead of following directions. Boredom often precedes creativity. When a child says, "I'm bored," it can be uncomfortable for adults, especially in a busy world where entertainment is always available. But boredom is not a failure. It is an invitation. When children are not immediately stimulated, their brain begins to search for ideas. They invent games, imagine stories, experiment with materials, and learn how to occupy themselves. During unstructured play, children practice emotional regulation. They experience frustration when something doesn't work, excitement when it does, and satisfaction when they complete an idea. They learn how to stay with a challenge instead of giving up immediately. These moments strengthen problem-solving skills and resilience. They also develop creativity, which is not just about art, but about flexible thinking and adaptability. You don't need elaborate toys or activities. Simple materials like blocks, paper, boxes, or everyday objects are often more powerful than complex toys because they invite imagination. The brain does the work. Your role is simply to protect time and space for this kind of play to happen. The fifth everyday activity that boosts learning power is encouraging questions, even when they feel repetitive or exhausting. Children ask questions because their brain is trying to understand the world. Why? Is not defiance or distraction. It is curiosity in action. Every question is a sign that the brain is making connections and seeking meaning. When children ask why the sky is blue, why they have to sleep, or why things work the way they do, they are practicing reasoning and critical thinking. Instead of shutting questions down, try responding with curiosity. We might say, "What do you think?" Or, "That's a great question. Let's find out together." You don't need to have all the answers. Modeling how to think is more valuable than delivering facts. Encouraging questions builds confidence. It teaches children that their thoughts matter and that learning is a shared process. Over time, this fosters a love of learning that extends far beyond school. Children who feel safe asking questions are more likely to engage, explore, and persist when learning becomes challenging. What all of these activities have in common is that they don't separate learning from life. They integrate learning into everyday moments. Talking through daily life, reading together, helping with tasks, playing freely, and encouraging curiosity all strengthen memory, attention, language, problem-solving, and confidence in natural ways. Learning does not only happen in classrooms or at desks. It happens in kitchens, living rooms, car rides, and bedtime routines. And when children experience learning this way, it feels safe, joyful,
and meaningful. We are now ready to bring it all together and talk about why these small habits have such a powerful, long-term impact. What makes these everyday activities so powerful is not that they are extraordinary, it's that they are consistent. The brain doesn't grow through occasional bursts of effort. It grows through repetition. Small moments, repeated day after day, shape how your child thinks, learns, and sees themselves. When learning is woven into daily life, it becomes part of who they are, not something they perform only when asked. These activities work because they align with how the developing brain actually learns. Talking through daily life strengthens language and comprehension because it connects words to real experiences. Reading together builds memory, imagination, and emotional understanding because stories give the brain structure and meaning. Helping with tasks builds confidence and executive function because contribution teaches capability. Free play builds creativity and resilience because it gives the brain space to explore and adapt. Encouraging questions builds curiosity and problem solving because it tells the brain that thinking is valued. None of this requires pressure. And that's the point. When learning is pressured, the brain shifts into performance mode. It focuses on avoiding mistakes instead of exploring ideas. When learning feels safe and relational, the brain stays open. It experiments, it connects, it grows. One of the biggest gifts you can give your child is the belief that learning is something they already do, not something they have to earn. When children experience learning as part of everyday life, they develop a different relationship with challenge. They are more willing to try, more willing to persist, more willing to ask questions. This builds confidence that carries into school and beyond. It's also important to remember that these activities work across ages. A toddler benefits from narration and play just as much as an elementary-age child benefits from conversation, shared reading, and helping at home. As children grow, the activities evolve, but the principle stays the same. Learning grows best in connection. Many parents worry about doing enough, but often, doing less with more intention is what makes the biggest difference. You don't need to create perfect learning environments. You don't need to fill every moment. You need to notice the moments that already exist and use them wisely. When you talk instead of command, you invite thinking. When you read instead of rush, you invite imagination. When you let your child help instead of doing it for them, you invite confidence. When you allow boredom instead of filling it, you invite creativity. When you welcome questions instead of shutting them down, you invite curiosity. These invitations shape the brain over time, and over time, they shape the child. If this video helped you see everyday moments differently, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment sharing which activity you want to focus on more this week, and subscribe to the Parenting Blueprint for more science-based guidance on raising confident, capable learners. Because learning isn't something you add to your day. It's already there. You just have to notice it.